That's why.
Ah,
Hmm.
Hi everyone. Hello and welcome to a new session. And today here with me is Ananya.
Hello, everyone.
And so Ananya, what are we doing today?
We will be doing Telangana set, uh, and
Tamil
this
Nadu
is the
set.
day 6. Sorry, Tamil Nadu set, and this is day 6.
Okay.
And let's start the practice.
Yes. So I will start my screen sharing. Yes. Okay. Right. So I believe all of you can see my screen. Okay. So here we are with our Tamil Nadu set crash course, and it's day 6. Please do watch the previous videos have if you haven't watched them yet. And so let's move on to our first question. Yes.
Foucault's monograph on the modern prison system is titled Dash The Birth of the Prison. So you have to tell what is the title of Foucault's monograph on the modern prison system. Is it Discipline and Punish, Dread and Power, Distrust and Punish, or Dungeon and Dudgeon?
Okay. So as you all know that it's a very popular work by Foucault, and it is Discipline and Punish. So Discipline and Punish, The Birth of the Prison, is a 1975 book by the French philosopher Michel Foucault, and it is an analysis of the social and theoretical mechanisms behind the changes that occurred in Western penal systems during the modern age based historical documents from France. And in this work, Foucault argues that prison did not become the principal form of punishment just because of the humanitarian concerns of reformists, and he traces the cultural shifts that led to the predominance of the prison via body and power. So, how the body of the victim is controlled, how it is dominated under this prison system. That's what he discusses in this monograph, Discipline and Punish. Okay, next.
Wordsworth believed that human passions are incorporated with the beautiful and permanent forms of nature in dash. Is it early childhood, rustic life, poetic imagination, or tranquil recollection? To tell Wordsworth believed that human passions are incorporated with the beautiful and permanent forms of nature in which of the following?
So, according to Wordsworth, human passions are incorporated with the beautiful and permanent forms of nature in rustic life. Oh, in rustic life, because his purpose in lyrical ballads was to choose incidents from common life, from the rustic life of man, because he believed the rustic life presents to us human passions and human nature in the most pure way possible. And he has elaborately and extensively dealt with rustic life in many of his poems. So for him, rustic life is the ideal form of life where human passions and human nature are exposed in the most pure way possible. Okay, next.
Azaro's quest for identity is the concern of dash. Is it the freedom artist, the famished road, the age of magic, or a way of being free? Azaro's quest for identity is the concern of which of the following options?
Okay, so it is The Famished Road by Ben Okri. The Famished Road is a novel by the Nigerian author Ben Okri, and it is the first book in a trilogy that continues with Songs of Enchantment and Infinite Reaches. And The Famished Road follows Azaro, and Abiku means a spirit child living in an unnamed African city. The novel employs a unique narrative style, incorporating the spirit world with the real world in what some have classified as animist realism. And here, Azaro is a spirit child, and Abiku, okay, in The Famished Road by Ben Okri, and it also won the Booker Prize. Okay, next.
Which is the story poem written by Keats of a young shepherd beloved by a moon goddess? Is it Isabella, the Eve of Saint Agnes, Endymion, or La Bella Dan Sans Mercy? So you have to tell which is the story poem written by Keats, which is of a young shepherd beloved by a moon goddess.
So as you all know, it is Endymion. Endymion is a poem by John Keats, first published in 1818 by Taylor and Hesse. And John Keats dedicated this poem to Thomas Chatterton. The poem begins with a very famous line, as you know, a thing of beauty is a joy forever. Endymion is written in rhyming couplets in iambic pentameter, and he based this poem on the Greek myth of Endymion, the shepherd beloved of the moon goddess Selene. The poem elaborates on the original story and renames Selene as Cynthia. So Endymion was the shepherd, okay? The shepherd beloved of the moon goddess Selene. Here, Selene has been renamed as Cynthia. Okay, next.
The celebrated jumping frog of Calaveras County and other sketches was the first published book of Dash. Is it Washington Irving, Joseph Heller, Mark Twain, or F. Scott Fitzgerald? The celebrated jumping frog of Calaveras County and other sketches. This is the first published book of which of the following writers?
Okay, so it's the first published work of Mark Twain. It's the first published work of Mark Twain, and the celebrated jumping frog of Calaveras. It is itself is a short story which was included in this collection, the celebrated jumping frog of Calaveras County and other sketches. Okay, and it was his first great success of Mark Twain, that is, as a writer, and it brought him national attention. Okay, and in this particular short story, the celebrated jumping frog of Calaveras County, the narrator retells a story he heard from a bartender, Simon Wheeler, at the Angels Hotel in Angels Camp, California, about the gambler Jim Smiley. So it's a very important collection of short stories by Mark Twain. The short stories and short story collections are very important these days. So do look up the short stories of various writers, their short story collections, the poetry collections, very important. Okay, next.
Eros and Civilization is a philosophical inquiry into Dash. Is it Marx, Darwin, Freud, or Capital? Eros and Civilization is a philosophical inquiry into Dash.
Okay, so all of you might have guessed that this book, Eros and Civilization, it's a work by Herbert Marcuse. Herbert Marcuse was a member of Frankfurt School. So, Eros and Civilization, a philosophical inquiry into Freud. Okay, it's a book by the German philosopher and social critic Herbert Marcuse, in which the author proposes a non-repressive society and attempts a synthesis of the theories of Karl Marx and Sigmund Freud, and explores the potential of collective memory to be a source of disobedience and revolt and point the way to an alternative future. And this work alludes to its title, that is Eros and Civilization. Its title alludes to Freud's Civilization and Discontents. And this question actually alludes to its full title, that Eros and Civilization, as you can see the cover page of this book, a philosophical inquiry into Freud. And that was the question, that this book probes a philosophical inquiry into whom? And the answer is Freud. And it's a very important work by Herbert Marcuse. Another very important work by Herbert Marcuse is One Dimensional Man. Okay, right, next.
It changed my life. Writings on the women's movement is a work published in 1976 by Dash. Is it Naomi Klein, Betty Friedan, Gloria Steinem, or Simone de Beauvoir? It changed my life. Writings on the women's movement is a work published in 1976 by either of the following writers.
Okay. So it's a very groundbreaking work by Betty Friedan. Okay. So let me tell you a bit more about this work. So as you know, it changed my life. Writings on the women's movement. So the actual title is It Changed My Life, and Writings on the Women's Movement is a subtitle. Okay. So it changed my life. That's what Betty Friedan heard over and over from women throughout the United States after the publication of her radical bestseller, The Feminine Mystique, sparked the beginning of contemporary feminism. The first stirring and uncertain years of the women's movement helped many women put a name to the sense of invisibility, powerlessness, and depression that Betty Friedan famously called the problem that has no name. And that's why this work came out, and it was named It Changed My Life, because that's what Betty Friedan heard time and again after her book, The Feminine Mystique, came out. And the women really said that book, how it changed their lives. And that's why this work, It Changed My Life, Writings on the Women's Movement, a movement which gave a voice to hundreds and thousands of women out there who suffered from a sense of invisibility and a powerlessness. Okay.
Who wrote a popular shipwreck poem replete with spiritual instruction for those in doubt and danger? Is it Matthew Arnold, G.M. Hopkins, Cardinal Newman, or John Ruskin, who has written a popular shipwreck poem replete with spiritual instruction for those in doubt and danger?
It is G.M. Hopkins who wrote the poem The Wreck of the Dude's Land. Okay. And it's a 35 stanza ode by G.M. Hopkins. This poem is loaded with Christian themes. It was composed in 1875 and 76, and this poem depicts the shipwreck of the SS Dude's Land. Among those killed in the shipwreck were 5 Franciscan nuns forced to leave Germany by the Falk laws, and the poem is dedicated to their memory, the 5 Franciscan nuns. The poem has attracted considerable critical attention and is often considered G.M. Hopkins's masterpiece because of its length, ambition, and use of strong rhythm and in stress. So it's a poem about the shipwreck, replete with Christian themes and spiritual instruction. Okay, next.
In which of the following novels Harikatha is strategically used as a medium of consciousness raising? Is it Waiting for the Mahatma, The Serpent in the Rope, A Bend in the Ganges, or Kantapura? Where in which novel Harikatha is strategically used as a medium of consciousness raising?
So it is Raja Rao's Kantapura, which was published in 1938. And in this novel, the Harikatha has played a dominant role in the mythical intensity of this novel. So in the very beginning of this novel, we see that a local Shastri, a learned scholar and poet, officiated Harikatha in Kantapura. Okay, so Harikatha is a tradition of storytelling. Okay, it's a tradition of storytelling. Okay, and this tradition, this strategy, or this style has been strategically used as a medium of consciousness raising, because set against the backdrop of the Indian subcontinent when India was still under the British rule, this Harikatha tradition was used as a medium to raise the consciousness of these oppressed people who were still suffering under the oppressions and tyranny of the British rule. Okay. Okay. So before we go on, let me remind you all that at Vallat from 8 April onwards, we have started this course of RPS Assistant Professor Quiz Series. Many people have already joined. Here you will get topic-wise quizzes every day also model tests and live revisions twice a week. And the fee is there on the screen. And there is also a phone number where you can contact for your further queries and get enrolled accordingly. Okay.
Johnson's comedies mostly deal with his favorite theme of human greed. Which of the comedies listed below is an exception? Is it Volpone, Epicene, The Alchemist, or The Case is Altered? So, which of the comedies is an exception from his favorite theme of human greed?
So, Volpone, Epicene, The Alchemist, all these uh, plays of Ben Jonson center around this theme of human greed and lust. But one exception is The Case is Altered. Okay, so The Case is Altered is an early comedy by Ben Jonson. First published in 1609, the play presents a range of problems for scholars attempting to understand its place in Jonson's canon of works. And so this play has got nothing to do with human greed and lust, but it talks about a range of problems for scholars attempting to understand its place in Jonson's canon of works. Okay. Yeah.
Which of the following novelists does not show fictionality of the text? Is it John Fowles, Kurt Vonnegut, Lawrence Stern, or George Meredith? Which of the following does not show fictionality of the text?
So we know that John Fowles, Kurt Vonnegut, Lawrence Stern, all these novelists have written their novels in quite a style of, postmodernism. They have showed this strain of historiographic metafiction in their works. They have written a style of postmodernism. But George Meredith is an exception in these options. So he has never really showed fictionality of the text in any of his works. It is George Meredith. Okay, next.
In Tradition and the Individual Talent, Eliot speaks about the working of the poet's mind in terms of which of the following modalities? Is it natural selection, a chemical reaction, a flowing river, or a cornucopia? I have to tell, Eliot speaks about the working of the poet's mind in terms of which of these following modalities?
So, Tradition and the Individual Talent, it's a very popular essay by T.S. Eliot, which was published in 1919. And here, Eliot speaks about the working of the poet's mind in terms of a chemical reaction. In terms of a chemical reaction, this essay was first published in The Egoist. This essay was first published in The Egoist, and later it came out in his book of criticism, The Sacred Wood. Okay. The other essays of T.S. Eliot are also very famous, like the Metaphysical Poets. So do look up T.S. Eliot as a critique. His works of criticism, his essay collections, the ideas, the critical ideas he has propounded, right? Like objective correlative. Okay, so the role of T.S. Eliot as a modern critique of the 20th century is very important. Do look up. Okay, next.
Memories of Rain is a novel by Dash. Is it Radhika Jha, Sunetra Gupta, Bharti Mukherjee, or none of the above? Novel's name is Memories of Rain. You have to tell which writer has written.
So, Memories of Rain is a novel by Sunetra Gupta. This was Gupta's debut novel, and it was published in 1992. And the book was awarded the Sahitya Academy Award in 1996. Okay, Memories of Rain by Sunetra Gupta. It also won the Sahitya Academy Award in 1996. Okay, next.
Marianne Halcombe is a character in Dash. Is it Middlemarch, David Copperfield, The Woman in White, or Vanity Fair? The character's name is Marion Halcombe. To tell which novel it is from.
So Marion Halcombe is a character in the novel The Woman in White by Wilkie Collins. Okay, Marion Halcombe is a character in The Woman in White by Wilkie Collins. It was the 5th published novel of Collins, and it started its publication from 1859. It is a mystery novel, and it falls under the genre of the sensation novels of Wilkie Collins. Okay. Next.
Rukmani's hard peasant life in Kamla Markande's Nectar in a Sieve illustrates the truth of which of the following poets' work without hope draws nectar in a sieve. Is it William Wordsworth, Robert Southey, S.T. Coleridge, or William Godwin?
So, Kamala Markandaya's Nectar in a Sieve is a very important novel. And here the answer is Coleridge. Coleridge. So, Nectar in a Sieve is a 1954 novel by Kamala Markandaya, and the book is set during a period of intense urban development and is the chronicle of the marriage between Rukmani, youngest daughter of a village headman, and Nathan, a tenant farmer. And the story is told in the first person by Rukmani, beginning from her arranged marriage to Nathan at the age of 12 to his death many years later. And here this question is actually about the title of this work, Nectar in a Sieve. Let me explain. The title of this novel, Nectar in a Sieve, is taken from the 1825 poem, Work Without Hope by Samuel Taylor Coleridge. An excerpt from the poem is actually also the epigraph of the novel, which goes like this. Work without hope draws nectar in a sieve, and hope without an object cannot live. And that's why here the answer is Coleridge, because this title has been borrowed from Coleridge's poem, Work Without Hope. Okay. Next.
Which one of the following plays belongs to the kitchen sink drama? Is it Shaw's Candida, Goldsmith's She Stoops to Conquer, Osborne's Look Back in Anger, or Miller's Death of a Salesman? Which of the following plays belongs to the kitchen sink drama?
So as you already understand that it is John Osborne's Look Back in Anger. It talks about the frustrations and sufferings of this working class hero, that is Jimmy Porter, and it's a very popular kitchen sink drama by John Osborne. Okay. Next.
Who is the author of the book Ancient Ballads and Legends of Hindustan? Is it Savitri Bai Phule, Shiv K. Kumar, Nissim Ezekiel, or Toru Dutt? You have to tell the author of the book Ancient Ballads and Legends of Hindustan.
So it's a very popular work by none other than Toru Dutt. Toru Dutt. She is also very famous for her poems like Our Kajurina Tree, Lakshman. Okay, so Toru Dutt wrote Ancient Ballads and Legends of Hindustan. She also wrote Bianca, the Young Spanish Maiden. Okay. Yes.
My Son's Father is an autobiographical work by Dash. Is it Ved Mehta, Dom Moraes, Mulk Raj Anand, or none of the above? My Son's Father is an autobiographical work by either of the following writers.
My Son's Father, it's an autobiographical work by Dom Moraes. Dom Moraes was an Indian writer and poet who published nearly 30 books in English. He is widely seen as a foundational figure in Indian English literature. His poems are a meaningful and substantial contribution to Indian and world literature as well. And My Son's Father, it's a very important autobiographical work by Dom Moraes. Okay. See the full title, My Son's Father, an Autobiography, Dom Moraes. Okay. So before we wrap up, we would like to give you a reminder that from 8th April at Ballat, we have started RPSC Assistant Professor Quiz Series. Here you will get topic-wise quizzes every day, model tests, and also live revisions twice a week. The fee is 2,500. And here's also a number on the screen where you can contact for your further queries and get enrolled accordingly. All right, so that's all for today. Okay, so Ananya, shall we wrap up?
Yes, we shall. Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone. Take care. And tomorrow there will be paper 1 class by Jobin sir. Do join tomorrow also. Bye.